On this episode of Audiobook Club, we felt that in these uncertain times, what we all need is a comforting cup of audiobook cocoa. To this end, we head to rural Buckinghamshire, specifically to Jason Towers, where Laird of the Manor, Sir David Jason, is setting about his morning rituals.
This morning, shortly after rising, I stood in my robe at the window of my dressing room at Jason Towers and stared out across the grounds. The day seemed to find me in a thoughtful mood. The autumn sunlight was illuminating the dew on the sloping lawns and glinting off the surface of the distant lake. Among the statues and the ancient cedar trees, a pair of squirrels fossicked eagerly, there being no law against that kind of thing for squirrels. A footnote. To fossick, verb, meaning to seek for precious items, especially by digging in the ground. Well, what do you think it meant? Actually, I don't think I want to know.
Hello and welcome to Audiobook Club, the podcast about audiobooks that has stuck a pony in its pocket and taken its suitcase from the bed. You know what? I never knew those were the lyrics. You know when you sort of hear, you think you hear the lyrics, but I've just literally learnt there from you. Thank you for writing this script. I didn't know those were the words. I never put on, subtitles or anything when the theme tune to Only Fools was playing, but now I know. Thank you. Back to the script. On this episode, we shall be reviewing the latest memoir from actor and British national treasure Sir David Jason. And, as you probably heard there, Matt Layton's joined me as well. How are you, Matt?
Hello, Steve. I am somewhat miffed, to be honest with you.
Oh.
You'll notice that normally
Have a sit down. Tell me all about it. Tell your Uncle Steve, although that would be a problem in reality.
Well, yeah, strange paternity issues come up in this book, don't they?
You'll be hearing from my legal people.
Look, in these troubled times, you'll notice I didn't stop you, as I normally would, to explain to listeners who don't know what Only Fools and Horses is. It's British television comedy references. Sometimes you and I have been accused of reading books that are too old or too British and making too many references to British television, and particularly in your case, British comedy of the 1970s and 80s.
Hang on, that makes me sound like I only watched Love Thy Neighbour or something.
Well, indeed.
Mind your language.
Well, exactly. And I'm not going to explain what that reference is either. Thank you very much.
No, don't. We'll get pulled off.
Because as an English language podcast, the industry standard practice is always be aware that you shouldn't alienate the American audience. But frankly, this week, f*** them. I'm leaning into it. I'm pissed off with them. I am unapologetically not only going to support you making obscure British comedy references, but I might even make some of my own, Steve.
Wow. Well, you're on a mission. I've never heard you say the say the A word before. That's an American. I mean, surely you mean about sort of 47% of America. No, sorry, or 51% of Americans who may be a little aggrieved with.
No.
Oh.
I don't know if you. Obviously, we're fans of the Rest Is Politics. We watched their podcast a little bit. They did a special on the night, and after 12 hours of broadcasting, I have never seen a man as broken as Anthony the Mooch Scaramucci. I don't know if you caught it, Steve.
I did, yeah.
A man who had put in so much effort. As we said before, when we do history stuff on this podcast, I did part of my degree was studying German thought so that we can spot what happens as we're heading towards tyrannical hell. And I don't know I know how to spot it, but I don't know what to do about it. And as far as I'm concerned, the Mooch et al. Had put in a load of effort to try and stop this bad thing happening. There's a great Jonathan Pye out. Have you seen that?
I'm not yet. No. I've just kind of got to sort of bury my head in David Jason, to be honest.
I think that's a really good idea. Well, I have too, and hopefully our listeners will appreciate it as well as we wait for mutually assured thermonuclear destruction. Normally we play 2 or 3 clips, but I've been glad to escape into this book this week, and frankly, I'm not feeling very chatty. So this episode, we have 7 clips, and I intend...
It's a clip show.
Yeah, basically, well...
It's a 7 clipper, everyone. He's done a 7 clipper.
No, there is a purpose to this, as well as me being a bit grumpy and not feeling very chatty. The David Jason book is a soothing balm, as you said earlier. It's a warming cup of cocoa to comfort us in our hour of need.
Jason's Soothing Balm, available at Safeway.
More cocoa, Steve.
Oh, please do.
Okay, so this is a clip of when David Jason was... he hadn't quite made it as an actor in the late 1970s, but he was doing the rounds. Did you know he was the voice of the Ready Brek ads?
No, was he?
Yeah. Well, that shows how far you got in the book. So he was doing one of his... He was popping into one of the studios in Soho to record a voiceover. And in there he finds... British theatre great Sir Michael Hordern, who, for me, is most relevant as the narrator of Paddington when I was a kid.
Yeah, amazing, yeah.
So here we go. Have a listen to this, see what you think.
I've told you before many times my story about bumping into Sir Michael one afternoon at one of the sound studios, possibly Molyneux, actually, and not being able to suppress my surprise at seeing one of the true greats of the theatre in this slightly, well, grubby context. I mean, if we're talking about proper actors, you can't get much more proper than Sir Michael Hordern, can you? "What are you doing here, Sir Michael?" I heard my shocked self ask as we encountered each other in the reception area. "Why, dear boy, the same as you," came Sir Michael's reply. "Being a vocal whore." And look, I've just gone and told that story again, but I know why I love repeating it. It's because every time I do so, I get to do my impression of the voice. Michael's wonderfully rich and tremulous tone in which the word whore grows at least one other syllable to become whore.
He just turned something into a carry-on film there, didn't he, at the end?
It's brilliant. So I actually do a Michael Hordern impression myself.
Oh, go on.
Well, my daughter Charlotte, who has been on this particular podcast before, as a young child acquired the nickname of Bear. And of course, in my head, I hear Sir Michael Hordern reading the Paddington books, actually on tape as much as on telly. And Mr. Curry, the Brown's next door neighbour, played in the films by Peter Capaldi. Whenever he's outraged when Paddington has laid waste to his garden, he will shout, "Bear!" So I actually greet my daughter with a Sir Michael Hordern impression every time I speak to her.
Oh, dude, I just realised I just did that a few minutes ago before you played the clip. Sorry, mate, have I just ripped your thunder away? I think that's the line you think of when you hear about Sir Michael Hordern, isn't it? It's just that one word he says. Obviously, now it's going to be vocal whore as well, because that's what we all are, aren't we? Everyone who does a podcast. How many podcasts are there in the world? 1 million? I mean, seriously, 1 million? And we are all vocal whores. Aren't we, really?
Good.
Yes.
Good. You clearly are in some sort of mood as well. I was soothed by the balm of David Jason's Michael Hordern impression. Clearly, you weren't.
I was, yeah. I mean, it was, I was embalmed. No, not embalmed. That's the wrong... That's a different book.
I have to say, we don't quite make it as vocal Tuppenny Uprights. We're more like a vocal copy of Razzle, I think.
Viz. That...
Yeah, possibly, or in fact, one of Mary Whitehouse's heavier hardbacks. Maybe I don't think there's
bring
anything
those
remotely...
into. You said you'd never bring those into Mary Whitehouse's hardbacks, you'd think you'd never bring this onto this podcast.
Number one, we're not getting paid. Number two, we're not remotely sexy. So I don't think we qualify as that.
What's the worst publication in the world? That's us.
We are the Grimsby phone book.
Doesn't even exist anymore. It's just decomposing somewhere on a landfill site.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
us.
Yeah. All right, come on.
The yellow advertiser. Right.
Rein it in. Three-stage approach, as usual. We'll start by talking about the author. We'll then go and talk about the content of the book. And then we shall move on to talk about the audiobook. And yes, it does bring something to the party this time. I can't imagine reading this and not having David Jason adding to it. So, the author first. Sir David John White, OBE, born 2nd of February 1940, same year as Al Pacino. It's going to come up later. Known professionally by his stage name, David Jason is an English actor. He played Derek Delboy Trotter in the BBC sitcom Only Fools and Horses, Detective Inspector Frost in A Touch of Frost, Granville in Open All Hours and Still Open All Hours, and Pop Larkin in The Darling Buds of May, as well as voicing several cartoon characters, including Mr. Toad in The Wind in the Willows, the BFG in the 1989 film of the Roald Dahl book, and the title characters of Danger Mouse and Count Duckula. I'd forgotten about Count Duckula. Who plays Penfold, Steve?
Terry Scott, of course.
Correct. I actually caught someone out with that question the other day. He was kicking himself.
Oh, okay. Well, who played Penfold in the rebooted Danger Mouse?
Oh, not a clue.
I need to Google as well. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. I really.
Yeah, no, I don't watch linear television anymore. David Jason's father was a porter at Billingsgate Fish Market, and his mother was from Merthyr Tydfil and worked as a charwoman. I sometimes have this problem, Steve, when I watch Only Fools and Horses, which, if there are any Americans listening, is a sitcom from the 70s and 80s in the UK. Used to get 17 million viewers and more at Christmas when they did their Christmas specials. He was a spiv. Well, that's not going to work for Americans, is it? Yeah, Sodom. He worked. He was a mover and shaker, wasn't he? A ducker and a diver.
Yeah, he was.
In Peckham. So he moved south of the river. But I sometimes have problems with the guy who plays one of the characters in the show, Trigger. You know the actor's name, Mike?
Roger Lloyd Pack. Yeah, Roger Lloyd Pack.
Yeah, who is dim and pushes a broom around famously. And then when you hear Roger Lloyd Pack talking, he's very rather. It was very much like this. And it's always jarred with me, and I can never quite get it. But I don't think we can deny that David Jason has the stones, the minerals, what is necessary to play the part of Del Boy Trotter. I don't think that's class tourism or anything, is it?
No, definitely not. He didn't get it as well.
I know, that comes up in the book, moving swiftly on to the book. So it's a memoir. I had a look online, and this is about his 6th or 7th memoir.
He churns them out. Well, the last one I listened to wasn't narrated by him.
Yes, and we'll come to that at the relevant moment. Don't confuse me. I'm easily confused.
Sorry. Breaking the format. Sorry, dude. On you go.
So his hip replacement, he mentions. He also mentioned a time during COVID where he fell flat on his face on the carpet and couldn't move. And as he put it, tried to get to the other side of the room by using his forehead as an oar. He tells stories of model making and making lamps out of riding boots, some of which he had lying around for some reason. So there's the modern stuff. Then there's the stuff that you're after, which is you like an anecdote, don't you, Steve? You like a bit of raconteuring.
I love a raconte. Peter Ustinov, David Jason, yeah, all that lot.
Well, we find out in the course of this book who is the better man, Terry Scott or Ronnie Barker. Terry Scott sounds like he wasn't very nice, to be honest.
He did come off. Yeah.
He didn't come off well,
they were
did he?
dark sides, didn't they? You put him into the same category as, he could have had a BBC Four, drama documentary made of his life. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to, one of those comedians that you're the tears of a clown, the raging wife-beating alcoholic. Not that I'm saying that about Terry Scott, but it turns out that some of your favourite cheeky chappies tend to be a little bit dark behind the scenes. It also talks about where his career didn't go so well. Famously, he was denied the role of Corporal Jones in Dad's Army because Clive Dunn became available. And then he was working on a children's television programme with Michael Palin, Terry Jones and Eric Idle. They all disappeared to do something called Monty Python.
America's
and he's in his late 30s before he really gets successful. It's just a lovely, gentle book full of lovely stories that aren't doing anybody any harm. I think that's fair, isn't it?
Yeah, and also it was eye-opening as well. I mean, he talks about there's actually parallels between this and another book which is completely different, and we haven't done it yet. This is Stephen Toast's autobiography. So I don't know if you've ever seen Toast of London. It's Matt Berry playing this actor. Hilariously funny. The book is brilliant. We should review it. Obviously, I've listened to it, but I think it's great. But there's a passage in there where and both this happens to David Jason and to Stephen Toast. And I don't know if one inspired the other. But David Jason had a bit of a poor run when trying to break into Hollywood not too long ago, when he says he was up for the role of the Harold Fry film, which Jim Broadbent got, and then he had discussions with the producer of The Great Escaper, and then heard nothing, and then what found out in the newspaper that Michael Caine was about to. Yeah, exactly. So he seemed to have a bit of a bad. And the thing is, when David Jason was in his pomp, so we're talking mid to late 80s, you had Only Fools and Horses just raking in the viewers, and then he went to ITV with Darling Buds of May, absolutely trounced the rating. We're talking to 20 million views to stand.
Which I remember watching that with my family. That was essential family viewing.
It was. It's perfect chocolate box drama, isn't it? But then after that, to hear him sort of talk about, especially coming out of COVID, he's the work drying up. That's David Jason. You think he'd be snapped up everywhere, don't you?
Yeah, well, this is the amusing thing about him being 84 years old. And incidentally, the same age as Al Pacino. If you go back a couple of weeks in our feed, you'll find us reviewing his book. Very different. What was that character that Nigel Planer played, Steve, who was the jobbing actor?
Oh, was it? It was Nicholas someone. Yes, it's something.
Nicholas Craig.
That was it. Yeah. He did master classes. Yeah,
it's very much like that. But I think David Jason in this is knowing about that he's sounding like that. And when you hear, if you read it on the page, I'm not sure you'd get it. But when you hear him doing that faux posh voice that he did at the beginning, and the idea that he has a butler and a cravat and a smoking jacket. He is taking the mickey out of himself. He is warm and lovely, I think, and I have to say, listening to it all in one go was a little tricky, but he comes across as such a lovely man, I think.
Yeah, and actually, when we get to talk about the performance later on, remind me.
I shall tell you when.
Tell me when. I'm sort of laying down my German thought beach towel here about how the performance matters to what you've just said. Yeah,
that's not going to ride in Arkansas, but I don't really care this week, to be honest with you. I'm not going to help you or them. So as we know, there is nothing less funny than comedians talking about how to be funny. When you get two comedians talking on a podcast such as this and doing back and forth, but he even manages to do that well. And as a segue into the bit where I'm going to finally let you talk about the performance of the audiobook, this is him just saying what he does, really.
They don't redefine the boundaries of comedy, but they're not supposed to. They're just there to raise a smile and gently move the show along. And then there are the ones where I simply told Jay wince-inducing jokes. Well, I think of them as jokes. You could call them lapses of intelligence, I suppose. Maybe it's the same thing. What's certainly true is that some of them were so old that they were in black and white. A judge said to a criminal in court, "Have you been up before me before?" And the criminal replied, "I don't know, my lord. What time are you usually up?"
There you go. Not going to change the world. He admits it as such, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It's right there. Right there. Yeah, lovely chap.
Hey, and can I also say, compared to his fellow 84-year-old, Al Pacino, focused, full of energy, structured, professional, rather than a ranting madman.
Yeah, he is. You know what? I saw a clip on YouTube of him going along to the Only Fools and Horses annual convention. So he turns up there. He's sort of, dressed in a little bit of the gear, not the whole thing. But he just goes in and he is so generous with his time, with how he when he comes into the room and everyone's looking at him, and he just sort of starts talking as he's being introduced by someone, and I remember the MC saying, well, of course, there'll be a lottery later on to win Del Boy's cap, and David Jason shouts out, "Don't worry, I've got 25 out in the back of the van if you want." Hey. He just comes in with that. It's so nice. Yeah, it's really good.
He is genuinely funny. I don't. There may be a ghostwriter involved somewhere here, but it doesn't feel like it. And certainly the way we were first attracted to the book was when the Audible computer lady played me a clip of this one. I went, he's put some effort in there. He's actually tried. Not only is it well written, but it's incredibly well delivered. And yeah, I can imagine the disappointment that you had when you heard of a book not read by him. Yeah,
so, and actually, just sort of looking back, he's written a few. Now, I've read another one of his books, which was called Only Fools and Stories. Lovely. From Del Boy to Granville.
Keep milking that cow.
Oh, yeah. So that's the only other book I've listened to of his. And but he's also done a few others as well. So it's all narrated. I think this could be, and I'm not sure actually. Any fans might want to. Oh no, he has actually narrated another one. He's narrated the 12 Dells of Christmas, but he's got My Life, I think was his first one. Then A Dell of a Life. And then the one I read, which was Only Fools and Stories, and they were all narrated by Michael Fenton Stevens. Now, Michael Fenton Stevens, if you know your comedy chops and comedy background, he was part of Radioactive on Radio 4 and KYTV, the TV version of it was like a really sort of, when Sky was taking off, it was kind of, a bit rubbish and everything, and they were taking the mickey out of it. And he was one of the people on there. And he runs a podcast now called My Time Capsule. He's got an amazing voice, really lovely voice. He's a fantastic audiobook narrator. He really is. But to your point earlier on about making David Jason sound a bit tongue-in-cheek, like he knows he's being that sort of genial raconteur, and talking about his success and what have you. That's the only thing that's missing for me. It has to come from David Jason, because I wouldn't have drawn that conclusion from. And I think I mentioned at the tail end of the last podcast when we did John le Carre and promoted this one, was that. That last book, it was basically him listing his successes, and it sounded very unironic, but it was Michael Fenton Stevens narrating that, and it didn't come through the kind of I kind of know, I'm kind of it's tongue in cheek with all this sort of stuff, but because he's saying it in this book, I get it now, and I agree with you.
Okay, and I'm going to prove your point by playing clip number 5, which is entitled Piss Off Cryer.
Which revolved around the time the great comedy writer Barry Cryer tried to trick Ronnie at a book signing. Cryer went along in disguise, in sunglasses, with his collar turned up and hat pulled down, and queued with everyone else to get his book signed. When he reached the front of the line, he put on an American accent and asked Ronnie to sign the book to John Smith. Ronnie duly wrote in the book, closed it, and pushed it across the table to him. Cryer left in triumph, having successfully deceived Ronnie B, and was looking forward to telling him about it later. At home, he opened the book. On the title page, Ronnie had written, "Piss off, Cryer, can't you see I'm busy?"
And you'll appreciate that, isn't that the most amazing Ronnie Barker impression you've ever heard?
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, the way he talks about
you
Ronnie
can
Barker.
see him gurning and pushing up his glasses as, Ronnie Barker gurning and pushing up his glasses as David Jason does that.
He's
2-second impression. It's just, I can't.
Did you ever see Still Open or... Sorry.
I'm just saying I have no problem recommending this book and saying that the audio version brings something to it. And to be honest, I'm running out of energy. It's been a rough week for me and the rest of the Western world, basically.
Western world, join our audiobook club. It's the perfect time. We catch you when you're vulnerable. That's what we do. We catch you when you're vulnerable. There's a lot of Ronnie Barker in this, of course, because he's David Jason. He absolutely reveres Ronnie Barker. He always has done. He always referred to him as the governor. Very moved when Ronnie Barker gave him a scroll or something like that. I can't remember the story now. It's in the book. Just basically handing over the baton of the governor and handing over the title to David Jason when Ronnie Barker retired. Ronnie Barker was just one of the funniest, to my mind, one of the funniest people who ever lived. He was absolutely amazing. And David Jason, obviously, you could tell he drew a lot from him in terms of the timing and when to drop a line, how to drop a line. But yeah, so much Ronnie Barker in this, which is lovely. And also Barry Cryer as well, who was so funny as well. And the way he was a real sort of doyen of anecdotes was Barry Cryer. Always had something for everyone, to the point where Harry Enfield did an impression of him during a comedy show for BBC Two. A few years ago, to sort of make that point. But yeah, there's some really nice anecdotes of other people who you really like in this book.
Yeah, and that's nice and warm, and obviously that's what you're going to go for as well. But the Ronnie Barker thing also brought in that story we just played about, the clip about Barry Cryer, comes from Ronnie Barker's funeral. And there are also, as you get older, there are certain things that David Jason can't do anymore. So he's had to hand back his helicopter pilot's license, apparently. But there's also grief comes into it as well. And it's not... You just get a glimpse into the man who he was. And the reason I think he's... done this book now is because he hit the papers last year for something that was not something he necessarily wanted to publicize, and he's kind of the nub of the book is in the penultimate chapter where he basically gets his right to reply. And I have to say that even though I knew it was coming, even though I knew what the subject was, the serious bit of this book hit me like a bus.
To begin at the beginning. That was how the letter began. The most astonishing letter I've ever received. To begin at the beginning, the letter said. Well, actually at my beginning. I wonder whether it has ever crossed your mind, as it has done with Mum and more recently with me, that you might be my biological father. I was standing in the kitchen when I read this, and, well, shocked doesn't really begin to convey it. The letter went on. For a considerable time I have wrestled with the unsettling discovery that my paternity is uncertain. I don't want Mum to feel guilty. I didn't want to betray my late father, and I have worried endlessly about how on earth to approach you. However, I really would like to know. I'm not asking for financial support or for you to make any other kind of commitment to me. Please would you agree to take an anonymous paternity test so that I can finally know the truth and let the matter rest?
turns out he's got a 50-year-old daughter and a grandson he's never met.
Wow.
And as you know, just before you and I
Wow.
met 20-odd years ago, I had a very similar moment in my life. And I have to say, it does. All of a sudden, there are more people that you didn't know about. And you wondered why you didn't quite look right in the family photos.
Yeah.
And then you find out. Yeah, so perhaps I was triggered. Perhaps I'm vulnerable this week. But I can tell you for nothing that David Jason is a far better human being than I am.
Wow. Wow, mate. I mean, we've never really spoken about it, of course, but
No, well, it was. I just lost a job, and I got a phone call from a former colleague, and he said, "What's the most important thing in your life?" I went, "I don't know what you're talking about, but I assume a couple of weeks ago we had a chat about the fact that I was adopted, so you've remembered that." And he said, "Yeah, your sister just called, my biological sister." It turned out that, the people who had my biological parents had stayed together and had 5 more children. And what I normally do, as you know, when something like that hits me, I go, or anything in life hits me, I go and have a pint with a mate. And that was one, it wasn't breaking up with a girlfriend or failing an exam. It was one that was just a total head spinner. And, and everybody said, well, you should do what you feel, which is lovely and probably what I would have said. And then one of my lovely friends, Michael Gore, he just said to me, well, what are you talking about? Gordon and Heather, my mum and dad, the people who brought me up, you've got a family already. Do you have enough room in your life for 7 more birthdays every year? Going, it's just the best piece of advice I've ever had, and I'm really glad for his ability to see through that at the moment. So I haven't gone near it. It's too much for me. And yeah, I have to say I admired the way David Jason says he handled it. I have no reason to believe he didn't. But also the fact that to him it's been a thing of joy. So yeah, no. Basically, that bit I knew it was coming because I'd seen him being interviewed on James O'Brien on his Full Disclosure podcast. And I knew it was coming, but I was minding my own business listening. Why is he telling this boring story about when he had an affair with a woman and they were in the stage play together? And then, and then suddenly I went, oh, that's why he's been telling that story for so long. And yeah, so as much as it has been a soothing balm, it also, towards the end, the book winded me. And I think I need, So I don't know. I found that really... I don't know if that would have the same effect on you. I mean, you're a family person, but the whole idea of having someone suddenly turn up is just like, oh.
You can't know. You really can't know. I mean, everyone will probably have a different reaction. A case in point with this, although I guess the only difference here is that I don't know if it's different because he's discovered he's the father. You discovered you were the son, and so whether that alters things, maybe I couldn't,
I don't know. And again, because it isn't something you can conceive of. You can even conceive of grief a little better than that, but actually the prospect of having new people is not an experience that many people have had, if you know what I mean.
No, not at all.
And again, have you got any kids? Not as far as I'm aware. I've never found that line funny.
Although
you're not meant to laugh.
Oh no, I find you saying that funny. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's your delivery. It's your delivery. You just do a zinger at the end, and just like an American sitcom. There's learning, and then there's a punchline before the credits to keep the sweeps happy.
All right, but would you want to do the Jerry Springer bit at the end? Because I think I need to lie down.
Okay, take care of yourself, man. Okay, well I'll do this. Okay, here we and each other. This time next year, A Life of Positive Thinking from David Jason. Knitton. written, narrated,
Knitted.
and
Whittled.
it's a new word we're going to use on Audiobook Club. It's a combination of written and narrated. It's called Knitten by Dave Jason, 8 hours and 40 minutes. It was released in October of 2024 by Penguin Audio. And next week, well, I think the emotion's gonna run again here, because anyone who's followed the comedian Janey Godley will know, and is a fan, will know, of course, that we lost her very recently to cancer, unfortunately, well, devastatingly. And so this is our little tribute, really, because I saw her a few months ago on her stand-up tour, just an incredibly resilient person, and a devastatingly funny one as well. And so she wrote a book which kind of gives a chronology of that tour, her touring, and how she was dealing with things. Janey, the Woman That Won't Shut Up, by Janey Godley, narrated by Janey Godley, 5 hours and 26 minutes. It was released a few months ago, back in May, but it's a good time to do it, I think. You can get in touch with us anytime you like on Instagram. We are at Audiobook Show on Instagram. Please follow us and the 1,200 odd bots that have appeared to have followed our account. But leave your comments there. We always post up a picture of what we're reviewing next, so give your thoughts there if you are listening to it too. And also any suggestions you have for what we should be listening to, because Christmas is just around the corner, so we're looking for stocking fillers to recommend to you, aren't we, Matt?
Bar humbug.
That's the spirit. Yes. I think we might have to have our laughing gear on next week for Janey, eh?
Maybe.
Hang in there. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
I've saved something for you.
Go
on. This is the peak Steve moment of the book. Another little cup of cocoa for you. Would you like to hear David Jason telling an anecdote about Ronnie Barker and Peter Kay?
Oh, go on.
Peter Kay spoke too. He had once written Ronnie a fan letter, and then got a reply on HMP Slade-headed notepaper, written entirely in the voice of Fletch, Ronnie's character in Porridge. Kay replied by sending him a nail file. That had started a long correspondence, and the respect between the pair of them was mutual.